There are, on average, over one mass shooting in this country every month. I'm defining mass shootings as, conservatively, as a mass killing of 4 or more people. In 2016, there have been about 12 that fit that definition, so that's 2 per month. So we have to ask ourselves, if this case in Orlando is a mass shooting, and of course it was, then how can we prevent mass shootings? The obvious answer is we need some form of reasonable regulation of firearms. I hate the phrase gun control because it conjures up this image that the government is going to control our access to guns and therefore take our guns. And nobody should be suggesting that because it's just not going to happen in this country. But we should talk about reasonable regulation. One of the things that we do know, the FBI Director James Comey has said that FBI interviewed this individual twice in 2013 and once again in 2014. He was on a watch list for a period of time while he was under surveillance, and that was both in-person surveillance and electronic surveillance. But this is America. We can't continue to put individuals on a watch list under surveillance when we have no facts suggesting anything other than an ideology with which the majority of us disagree. So he had to come off that watch list at some point. But what I would suggest is the most obvious and perhaps fairly easy method of prevention is any individual who was on a watch list, and it's an unresolved matter, that if they then buy a firearm, the FBI should get notification of that. That's a fairly simple thing to do. It is not infringing on anybody's rights. It's just further notification to the FBI that some overt action has occurred. In this case, the individual bought firearms 2 weeks before the actual event. That was the first overt act towards terrorism. If the FBI had notification of this, I think they might have acted differently, or they would have at least acted in some way to determine if this individual had become a threat. The other thing to consider is that the timeline, the sequence of events on Sunday morning are still very unclear, but it would appear that most of the killings occurred in the first 10 minutes or so of this individual going into the Pulse nightclub. That would be consistent with what we know about most mass killings, that they occur in 5 or 10 minutes. So if that's the case, here's an individual who is able to use a multi-round clip. I don't know the size, but clearly he used a multi-round clip. The one audio that I've heard of the event, it sounds like he changed his clip twice. Considering that there were 100 casualties, then that suggests that he used a 30-round clip. Something of that size can be regulated. There's no need for either a sporting enthusiast or a target shooting enthusiast to have clips of 30 or more rounds. So those would be 2 ideas that would be fairly easy to implement that would limit this type of mass killing. Would not stop it, but would limit their occurrence.